Hi, my name is Sydney Arnold, and this is my video reflection of the Lifework Project. In meeting with Janet and Mavon, it was apparent of the different developmental stages by Erickson and in the life experiences that affect those. Both Mavon and Janet are in their integrity versus despair stage, and when asked how they felt when looking back on their lives, Mavon stated that she was saddened and felt dumb, while Janet stated that she was blessed and she had a full life. I believe that the different experiences that each woman had during the stages affected how they view their lives when looking back. For example, in the industry versus inferiority stage, Mavon was from a poor family and they didn't go into town very much and they weren't very involved. Janet stated that she was involved not as much as she was invited to be or would have liked to have been due to a friend who was not quite as popular as she, and she was very social. I believe that out of industry versus inferiority, Mavon would classify as inferior while Janet would classify as industrious. In the identity versus role confusion stage, Mavon stated that she still talks with old friends whom she went to school with, and Janet stated that her friendships and social relationships during that time taught her how to interact, what relationships were, and how to treat others. I believe that both women would classify as identity, and they know where they belong. In the intimacy versus isolation stage, both were married young, Mavon at 19 and Janet at 21. Mavon remained married to the same man until her late husband passed a few years ago. Janet was married at 21, and then that relationship did not last, and then again in her 30s, whom she was married to until her late husband passed away a few years ago. I believe that Mavon would classify as the intimacy, and Janet would classify as almost isolation, but at the same time she was with one person from her 30s until now into her 70s. The main difference being in the next point, generativity versus stagnation. Mavon had 2 boys naturally, while Janet had 4 stepchildren. She had no children of her own. That being said, Mavon talked about her family in more of a negative connotation due to not seeing them very often and things like that, while Janet spoke very highly of her stepchildren, even referring to them as her children, and stated that she gets to see them frequently and is very blessed for them. Also, on their career path, both women were secretaries or assistants, and Mavon spoke of her experience in more of a disappointed tone, while Janet was very fulfilled. The difference in that, I think, is that Mavon, while having her children, would classify as generativity. I think she falls into stagnation because of her viewpoint on those experiences. And Janet, although she had no children of her own, has a very good relationship with her children and her stepchildren and grandchildren. So therefore, I would put her under generativity. That all being said, now that they are in their integrity versus despair, I think that Mavon would classify as despair based off of how she recants her experiences, and Janet would classify as integrity because she looks back and believes or feels that she has had a very full life and is very happy with everything that has happened. Therefore, she would not want to change very many things at all. I very much enjoyed this project, and one of the things that I found very fascinating was how you would think things, for instance, that how Mavon had her 2 boys naturally and Janet had no children of her own, that you would think that in the end, for integrity versus despair, Janet might feel more despaired because she did not physically pass on life while Mavon did. And I found very interesting that the women were flip-flopped than what I would have thought, based off of their different experiences throughout life. So, thank you very much for that.